Well, that's it. When you're grateful, you can't be a victim.
Right.
And so your mentality changes, and so really my daily routine in the morning, it's to be active almost immediately,
Hmm.
and then
It gives you
you know
energy.
yep, and then look, hey, this is who I want to be in this world and what I want to do, and that's to be a positive influence on people.
Let's learn how our next guest gets up, dress up, and show up on purpose. Enjoy the episode.
Hello, morning enthusiasts. Welcome to the Best Morning Routine Ever podcast. I am your host, Dr. Lunid, and today I have the honor of introducing a phenomenal guest to the show, Robb Munger. Robb is the president and CEO of Exodus Place. Now, in July 2009, he gathered four homeless men with the goal of remodeling a corrections facility on the Grand River into a haven for homeless men. Now, this establishment would become a rapid rehousing foundation for those who need a hand up, not a handout. And he lives by that model, by the community he's built around himself, and the men that he does work with. And the growth of Exodus Place is remarkable. I was just telling him earlier, it is short of a miracle, and I cannot wait to share his insight and his story with you. So, with no further ado, Robb, welcome to the show.
Well, hello, thank you.
Yes, it's my pleasure. Let's start with how we know how we started Exodus Place, but why? Yeah, what's your journey so far?
Well, why I did it? My background's a businessman, an entrepreneur, so took a real 180 degree with this. I turned around a rescue mission in Grand Rapids, Michigan. It was at a financial crossroads, and the board of directors asked me to step in. And so I turned it around. And then all of a sudden, I started seeing the actual needs of the homeless. I really didn't understand the whole system. And when I started seeing, the biggest problem was men that were homeless. And then the rescue mission system was very good as far as getting them out of alcohol and drug addiction. The problem is then getting them into the workforce and helping them that way. And the other thing that rescue missions, and a lot of us, and I've done this too, is we give people money without any type of expectation of work. And so Grand Rapids does a really good job showing a lot of love and care by giving a lot of money out, but they weren't requiring anybody to do anything to move themselves forward. Mm-hmm. And so a study came out that was part of Salvation Army. I worked with the individual that did that, and they said, hey, we really need a program that would teach people how to work and then have affordable housing in a program. And so that's what kind of initiated everything, and then God took it from there.
Yeah, that's amazing, and I do love the name. And tell us how it came about. I see God's hand in it, but I'd like to hear how it came about, because the four men who were originally involved, they worked 16-hour days, slept on the concrete, and then being able to build this up and giving it this name. So enlighten us.
The guys in Grand Rapids, we have the Grand River, and on the one side was the rescue missions and different programs. Our building is on the west side, and so they said when they walked across the bridge, they felt like they were exiting the homeless situation they were in, and that they had hope. And us, the four guys and myself, we came up with a name of Exodus Building, because we're not very, or at least I'm not super creative. And then one of our board members later on said, and she says, or his wife said, we need to soften it up a little bit. And so we called it Exodus Place from then on out. And that's how the name came about.
That's beautiful. It's almost biblical.
It is. It
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah, and the way you're helping that community, you have an approach that focuses on hand up rather than hand out. Can you tell us how that has been pivotal in empowering the individuals you work with?
It really it's very pivotal in a couple ways. One, we distinguish ourselves as a brand differently than a rescue mission where you're just giving out free clothes and free food and stuff, which is nice for people. When the men come to Exodus Place, and because of our bathroom situation and showers, that's why it's all men. And then, the men will come into our facility, and they either have to work in our facility, so clean, man the front desk, hand out linens, do laundry, work in the kitchen, work outside, or they have to pay a small fee to be in our program. But they can't just be in our program for free. We do bring people in that just medically or mentally can't handle things at that particular time, but we bring them in with a case manager with a plan so that they have a desire to move forward and get stabilized. And that's the nice thing about Exodus. We meet everybody where they're at. So it doesn't matter if you have a very low IQ or a low emotional intelligence or a very high IQ, but you have, let's say, a substance abuse or something that you did was inappropriate and you had to go to jail or prison. So we meet everybody where they're at, and that's our secret sauce, or one of them.
Yeah, it's Christ-like. You guys are Christ-like in meeting people where they're at and loving on them, precisely where they're at, and that they're accepted and they're loved. That's really really nice to know that there's a place out there that provides such service. Is there guaranteed that they'll have a bed now? Because I know space can be limited. How do you ensure that these men know they have a place they can lay their heads at night when they are part of the Exodus place?
We limit the number of people that can live there at 135 people, and each man that comes in actually has a key to his own room. Well, we have a couple that, several that share rooms. But once you come into our program, you're guaranteed a room unless you bring alcohol or drugs into our facility or there's physical fighting. But we just don't tolerate any of that because our goal is to be in a positive direction. And so really the men self-police themselves most of the time. It's something out of 135 men. I can't remember the last time we had a physical altercation at our facility. It's been way over a year.
That's impressive. That's impressive. I think they have buy-in. They have buy-in into the mission. They have buy-in into the cause, and therefore they live it out. That's pretty impressive.
You're exactly right.
Yeah, that's something you see rarely. And now this is in the process of almost eradicating. Well, we can't stop it all completely, right? Addressing homelessness and how one can come up from it, but how do you even avoid it from happening? How does the program help with that?
Well, it's hard we work to prevent homelessness. So we'll have men that they've lost their apartment or come out of, let's say, a treatment center. And so we'll get them right in. So our objective is to prevent them from going homeless.
Right.
Or if they have been homeless, they come to our facility. We are constantly teaching them specific cultural type of items. We have a really strong culture of one, you talk politely to people. One of my rules is, and I took this from somebody that shared it, was we're first to introduce ourselves and say hello. So we're teaching the men some soft skills of how to interact. Because when you're homeless, you're without hope. And so we're bringing hope back in. If they've had some bad situations, we start reframing who they really are, because in God's eyes, we're all, special, and we're all important. And when you lose hope, you don't think very highly of yourself. So we're always adjusting and talking to the men about, no, you're worthy. Let's have a plan. We're going to talk to you as a man. We're not going to talk to you as a child. We're going to talk to you as an adult, and we're going to encourage you. And that's our focus all the time. And really, probably the toughest thing to deal with is their own mental holdback, so they won't think of themselves as worthy. And so we really have to work through that. Is, yes, you are worthy, and you are valuable to yourself, to our community. And once they start getting that, and they get that zip in their step, and it's amazing how it transforms them, so that they can grow and really get the life that they desire.
Right. And everybody their human right is to feel worthy, to feel loved, to be loved. It's our God-given right.
Amen. That's exactly.
I imagine it strikes me as you have a holistic approach to addressing some of the issues or some of the challenges. Tell us about some of the support you're getting in the area, some of the entities that you collaborate with to provide, let's say, counseling, to provide the right nutrition for these men, and the clothing and all that. Let's talk about how the bigger picture and how it all comes together with the collaborations.
Well, that's a great question, because it does take collaboration. We are not a silo just working and saying, hey, we do everything great. So we work with the local mental health facility. We work with the local healthcare. We're really blessed in Grand Rapids. We have Cherry Street Health, that is a local nonprofit healthcare. They take insurance, but Michigan has what's called My Health. And so we can work with their doctors and nurses, optometrists, dentists, and then with the mental health care in Grand Rapids, there's several facilities that we can refer the men to. And then we have on-site. So we have our on-site case manager. We have 2 pastors that are on site, and then just our life coaches in each department. So like our kitchen manager, when we hire a kitchen manager, we have to explain to him or her, you're not here just to cook food. You're
multiple
here.
Hats.
Exactly. So we're going to bring a man in that might not have worked for over a year and a half. And so we need to be training this person, and then also putting out a meal for the men. Right. And then we work with over 70 different agencies. We are a hub for food. So we get food from Costco, Feeding America, different places. And then these smaller nonprofits need food or supplies. And so what we do with our box truck is we will take it and deliver it, but we have to sort through a lot of food, a lot of items. So it takes that community to really work with these men. And the nice thing is the men are working with this. So they're seeing, oh, we just received this, and then we are giving it back out without any strings attached. We're not asking for anything. We're trying to help others. So we're not trying to hoard everything. So and that's really how our system works with the men, is with all the agencies around them. They're learning, hey, this is how we get, work in a community, so that when they graduate from our program, when they move, they have relationships outside of Exodus Place, so that they're successful.
Yeah. And the goal is to be independent, get their own place, get full-time work, and get back into the community.
You're exactly right. That's the number one goal. And have them feeling, really, if they're feeling good about themselves I don't want to say that, feeling good about yourself doesn't make you successful, but it sure helps you get up in the morning.
It's the gateway.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely helps to feel good and know that you're worthy and loved, as we were saying earlier, to conquer and take on the day. How long is the program?
It's funny. That's a great question too. My background's ex-Army officer, business. So I have all these nice business plans, goals, and everything. And I was going to make it 6 months. And what I found was everybody's different mentally and emotionally. And so what we do now is we evaluate monthly each man in our program. And once they start becoming sustainable and their foundation's really built, that's probably the toughest thing is we'll have a guy successfully complete our program and he doesn't want to move out because he understands that structure and he's scared of what could happen again.
Yeah.
And we have guys that they've saved up $4, $5, $6, $7, $8,000, have a vehicle, have 2 jobs, and they're worried about going homeless again. And so we have to coach them that I understand your past, that happened. That doesn't mean it's going to happen again. And then we're always here. So we don't have a real timeline to deal with it, but we have a relationship. Biblically, a lot of people talk about John 3:16, but then really John 3:17 talked about Christ coming to have a relationship with us. And that's really what we do at Exodus. We have a relationship, so we have to meet everybody where they're at.
Yeah, and it's a mentality thing, I imagine, right? Because the mentality, you got to break those old habits, rewiring those bad thoughts from reoccurring, because that's where the fear lies, right? To kind of feel like, oh, well, I might go back to where I came from. And so there's a lot of coaching happening, I hear, daily.
Very true.
Counseling, coaching to make sure these men are mentally strong to be sustainable outside of the program.
Yes. And like you're mentioning, even like we ask the men not to go back to their old areas where they're old friends, and because they have their old drinking buddy that they've known since they were 12 years old or 14 years old. And we're like, no, Jimmy has always got you in trouble. And if you get out and you have $4,000 or $5,000 and you have a place, guess who's going to show up? And then one drink or one use of drugs is going to, so let's find a different place and let's adjust your friend and your sphere of influence.
Yeah. Change your whole environment, change everything and create new habits.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I imagine you're teaching financial literacy in there and everything. It's an amazing program. So I must ask, are you tinkering with the idea of rent and repeat and actually expanding and making this and putting this in different parts of the country?
We're actually putting a program together, and this is why I'm working to be on podcasts and interviewing more, is we're putting everything as a standard operating procedure on a manual that we're going to share with people, because just the capital of the cost to expand our program doing it ourselves would take too long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share it for free. Yeah. And so because our recidivism rate, that's the length of time that a person comes out of prison and goes back. It used to be, well, it's still very high in some states. It's up to 50% to 70% in some states and areas. Our recidivism rate when a guy comes through our program is less than 5% at our.
Wow.
We know what we're doing, and if we can share that, we can get it, throughout the country. Get it in California. I was in San Diego, and the number of homeless, that's out of control.
It is. It is. And that's why I was asking, because there we can definitely use this program here in this county as well, because yeah, you're right. It's everywhere, and it's also the weather permits it as well, because it's nice year round, and so there's pockets all over the county of it, and I can see why this program would be valuable, and the and funding would be made available too, because it's so impactful. Just from hearing you speak, it just 5%, like that's huge.
Oh yeah. The people that are homeless will start choosing not to be homeless. You're still going to have that percentage that chooses to be homeless. We have that. I mean, we have homeless people within 300 yards of our building, and so. But that's where the government and the community can work together, so that we can start dealing with people that are homeless, and start explaining to them there's better choices than being homeless. I mean, I wouldn't let my dog be homeless.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's a crass thing for a lot of people to think about, but I said, would you really let your dog, be out on the streets like this all the time? And then we're allowing a human being to do it. And I think that's just demeaning to human beings. And so that's where, the local government, the community, these programs, we can make a positive difference and treat people better than an animal, because they deserve better than that.
Yeah, and you said something quite striking to me, that you have people 100 feet away from the program. There are people who choose to be homeless. Can you talk about that? Why would one choose that instead of shelter and a place to be, a bed? Why would someone decide I rather this path? Because we have those here as well. We have people who fought the county, the system, just wanted, they rather that freedom. Is it freedom?
It's the independence and freedom, the and it's a mental illness,
Okay.
and really, and it's not being addressed properly in the leadership, because a lot of these, I would say 90% of and I'm talking men because that's who we deal with, they have SSI, so they have an income every month of right around $900 a month. So when and these people that have the SSI, Social Security insurance for taking care of their basic needs, they can be assigned a payee or a guardian that then starts helping them control their money and making smart choices with the $900. What happens is the government says, well, we don't want to impede on people's rights. But the reality is, well, if I'm a parent and I'm giving my children an allowance and they're not behaving correctly, well, then I withhold the allowance. You can't really do that with the homeless because they need money to live, but we can have a guardian or a payee that starts working with that person. So it's once again a relationship, and then start saying, hey, you need to be making better choices. You can't take $900 and buy $900 worth of vodka and then go to the rescue mission, eat for free. And, and I have this discussion with the men quite often,
Mm-hmm.
and they go, well, it's my money. Well, no, actually, it's the federal government's money or the state's money that's giving it to you, and you're choosing to drink vodka. Then you get so drunk that the ambulance shows up and the fire department shows up. Well, and then they go to the emergency room. That visit just cost, let's say, a couple $1,000s. So there needs to be, I'm a proponent that if you're going to get SSI, you either need to prove that you're utilizing money correctly to get you housing and food and the medical and the attention, the items that you need. And if you're proving that you're just drinking or shooting up, we've had people by us shooting up with heroin.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you need a payee and a guardian so that we can give them proper care. Because like for myself, if I am not mentally capable of making wise choices, I would rather have, let's say, my wife make better choices until I get back in a better frame of mind. And that's what, like in California and in Grand Rapids too, we have some people that are not requiring that for the use of this money and of having a guardian or a payee. We need to put some parameters on so that they're not just using it for drugs and alcohol, prostitution, gambling. That's the other bad one. We have a casino close by, so they gamble all the money away, and then they don't have a place to live. And that's
so and this is from my own knowledge, every homeless person gets SSI?
Not everyone, but I would say probably right around 90% of them get SSI, or they get a minimal check. Let's say from Michigan, they can get a check for about $400 a month. And there's money for housing.
Right.
And people don't utilize it. And
where does it go? There's no address. They go into the office and pick this check up. It gets mailed. How does the process work?
Well, we have a local rescue mission that actually handles the PO box for them. So mail comes to their PO box, and so that's how they get their check. Or it gets loaded on. Most of it's loaded on a debit card. And then in Michigan, it's called a bridge card, which is food stamps. So it's loaded on their bridge card. So they have 2 debit cards, and between the 2, they have over $1,000 each month between the first and the third. And then people go, well, I don't know why we have a problem with them behaving poorly. Well, if you give somebody that's been drunk or high for that long, and then they have impaired their mental capacity, because they're not sleeping very well either. So you need good sleep. And so you get those 2 things. And then the other thing that homeless people get is they get high starch, high carb food, because bread's donated a lot. Potatoes are easy to cook, so that's handed out a lot. So they're not getting the best diet. And then you give them money, and then you go, well, why don't they make better choices? Well, they don't sleep well, they're drinking, drugging, and they're not getting good nutrition. We stacked it against the homeless.
Right.
And to blame them, I think we're all, including me, because we're always working with the diet at Exodus and working. We need to be focused at being part of the solution and understand where, like for me, we were doing desserts like 5 nights a week at Exodus. And well, all of a sudden the guys were all getting heavier. Well, I thought it was a nice gesture, but it's not all the nice things now is the best thing.
That's it. Yeah. Good call. Yeah, the holistic approach. I agree with you, because you're looking at mental health, you're looking at dieting, nutrition, and also the shelter piece of it. It's not a siloed one way of looking at things. It's looking at the whole umbrella, everything that fits under it to kind of make the human being whole. For lack of better words. And so I'm impressed with what you are doing, and I'm curious, how do you do it? How do you get up, dress up, and show up to serve these men, to provide such great service daily? What's your morning routine like?
Yes, my morning routine. Today I was up about 4:30, so early in the morning. Did my stretching, jumped on a stair stepper, and so I did the stair stepper for a half hour, and then more stretching, little lifting of weights. I'm fasting this week for Holy Week, so I'm just having water, coffee, and tea. So I didn't want to do a heavy exercise. And then I'm always reading every morning. And then as I'm reading, I always have my list of things to do. So I'm always prioritizing my list of items. One thing, you have some really great questions prior to this interview. And the one thing theme is I never get out of bed feeling like I'm a victim or I'm martyring myself. So when I get out of bed, I have a mission to make a positive impact in somebody else's life. And so that's my theme in the morning. And if I'm not following that theme, then I have to reassess myself. But I want to make a positive difference in somebody's life right when I get out of bed.
Wow. Yeah, and you have 135 men that you do this on a daily basis. So your gratitude list is very lengthy, I'm sure. Lots to be grateful for.
Well, that's it. When you're grateful, you can't be a victim.
Right.
And so your mentality changes. And so really my daily routine in the morning, it's to be active almost immediately. And then
it gives you energy.
Yep. And then look, hey, this is who I want to be in this world and what I want to do. And that's to be a positive influence on people and humanity. You look at our politics, and I know people say, well, that's a touchy subject. And I said, really, it's not, because whether it's a Republican or Democrat or independent, they're human beings. And not every politician's going to be perfect. And they're going to make mistakes. But I think if we come about it as humanity of looking, there's always something good in somebody, I believe.
Yep.
I really do. And I get critiqued on that, and they go, well, you're in la la land. No, I mean, Biden, I teased my staff. I said, Biden likes ice cream. Think about it. Him being a grandpa and taking me for ice cream, I bet you I'd have a darn good time with him. Yeah. And then, Donald Trump, his tenacity. Do I agree with both of them on everything? No, but there's always good about somebody. And that's where I get up with that mission in life, to look for the good. And I mean, we can all hate and judge, but I don't know about you. I know with your smile, that's not your focus in life.
I agree with you 100%, right? Don't judge unless you too be judged. And I share that. I wake up looking for the silver lining in everyone, including myself, because we're not perfect.
Yep, that's it. I'm not. And that's, and I'd rather show love and compassion to somebody than judgment and hate. That just isn't a good thing.
It takes the same amount of energy. Might as well.
Exactly. And you feel better with the love and compassion. At least I do.
Yeah. What it does, Rob, it breeds more of that in your surrounding, right? It brings more of it into your heart. It brings more of it it brings the right people into your world. It brings the right partnership, the right collaboration, so that you can expand on your mission. Which is what you're doing here with Exodus Place. So it's almost like a no-brainer for you.
You're exactly right. I mean, just even like connecting with you today. I mean, I already feel like we have a relationship. I mean, that's that power, like you said, it attracts people.
Mm-hmm. The right people, and I'm with you 100%. Tell us, where can we connect with you? Where can we find you? Because we want to hear about Exodus Place and your business plan.
ExodusPlace.org. So that's the easiest place. My website is just getting upgraded right now. So that's robbmunger.com. So you can connect with me there. And then also on Facebook and then LinkedIn. And I go by ROBB, So it's a little bit unique way of spelling my name.
Yes, fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. It's been such an honor and pleasure sharing this space with you and sharing your energy and your good vibes. I really am thrilled that we had this opportunity to sit together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please comment and tell us what was your favorite part, your favorite habit that you are going to try out for yourself today. Comment below. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. Until next time, I will see you at the top of your best morning routine ever. Stay blessed.